Let's convert this Willys Jeep from drive flanges to premium manual locking hubs from Kaiser Willys. From the factory, your Willys Jeep will have something that looks a lot like this. This is a drive flange, and these are very simple and strong and easy to work on, but there are a few drawbacks. Whether you have an early 10 spline or a later 27 spline front axle, this procedure is exactly the same, and Kaiser Willys offers manual locking hubs for both types of axles. So why would you want to switch from a drive flange that came with your Jeep to an aftermarket manual locking hub? With a drive flange like this, anytime the wheel is moving, so anytime your Jeep is moving, it's directly connected to the axle shaft. So this is the front axle from a Dana 30, and if the wheel's moving, the axle is moving. This is a very strong and simple design, but it makes for a lot of extra rotating mass. So if you don't really use four-wheel drive a lot, if you flat tow, or you just want the ability to unlock your hub, this drive flange limits that. It prevents that. So anytime you're rolling down the road, your inner and outer shaft is spinning, the differential is spinning, the drive shaft back to the transfer case is spinning, so you have a lot of things whirling around just driving down the road. So one of the main advantages with the manual locking hub, aside from looking cool, these are pretty sharp looking, is it allows you to disengage the hub and the wheel from the rest of the axle and the drivetrain. So if you're primarily doing pavement, or you flat tow behind a vehicle where all four wheels are spinning, it allows you to disconnect and prevent all those things from spinning. So when you're flat towing, you want as little rolling resistance and rotating parts as possible, and you can do that with a manual hub. I showed you how the drive flange works. Now let's look at the manual locking hub. So it goes in here just like that, just like the drive flange. This bolts to the spin or the hub on your axle, and when it's in the lock position, it's just like a drive flange. This is a positive lock, so as the wheel turns, the axle turns. That's in lock. So if you turn this, it's about a 90-degree turn. Now, if you notice, the hub and the axle turn independently. So now the drive shaft and the differential and the axle stay stationary, and the wheel and the hub move. So the only thing turning is what's on the road and the wheel bearing, things like that, but the axle itself is not turning. So a lot of less wear and tear, less noise. If your drive shaft is out of balance, you'll have less vibration and just a little less rolling resistance. So if you're still running the Go Devil and you have 45, 50 horsepower on a good day, turning, 20 pounds, 30 pounds less metal is going to make it go down the road a little bit better. Before we install these, let's just take a look at the construction. They're a very nice looking hub. So it's got the black around the base and a chrome or stainless looking nose cone on it. I will say these are all steel, so it's pretty heavy, not like some of the cast aluminum ones I've seen before. It has a bearing on the inside and the spline collar. Everything's ready to go. So it's just a really nice looking, solid feeling unit. When you open up the box, you'll see your two hubs, one for each side. You also get a bag with the little gaskets that go between the hub and the locking hub. And you get another little bag with the screws. So it comes with just a few screws holding it together. You'll get the rest of them in a little bag. And if you're lucky like me, you'll get a lemon head and a Jolly Rancher. Let's move on to the installation. So I'm just gonna raise one side of the vehicle. You can definitely do this procedure with the wheel on, but just to help you be able to see it better, I'm gonna remove the wheel. This is a Dana 30 axle, but if you have a Dana 25 or 27 and you're running drum or disc, it really doesn't make a difference. They're all pretty much the same procedure. So you're just going to have a dust cap with the hub. These are all 6-bolt. So this is same style for several decades, and we'll just kind of walk through the installation from this point. First thing you're going to do is remove the little dust cover. So I just kind of go around from one side and then the other. As you'll see here, this has the 27 spline axle, so these have a little snap ring on the end. If you have a Dana 25 or 27, in place of this snap ring, you may have a threaded shaft with a nut and a cotter pin, but it's the same procedure. You just remove either the nut and, in this case, a snap ring. So just pop that little snap ring off. Now we're going to remove these 6 bolts. You'll notice in a lot of my videos I use the impact gun, but I really only use it for disassembly. When we put this back together, I'll use a ratchet so I get the correct torque on these, and a torque wrench. But for taking things apart, make your life easier. Once you have the bolts all out, depending on how long it's been since your axle has been apart, it might pop right out. Might fall off on you, or it might be completely rusted, or if someone has put a lot of silicone in there, it might be stuck. But after all the bolts are out and the nut or the snap ring is removed, there's really nothing else mechanically holding the drive flange onto the hub. So this one just had a little bit of silicone in it from last time I put it together, but it popped off quite easily and gives us access to what we need to see. No matter what procedure we're doing, cleanliness is always super important. So if your hub is all rusty and muddy, just take some time and clean it up really well before it goes back together. So I'm going to scrape the remaining silicone off of here with a razor blade. Then I'll get a tap. These are 3/8 18, and I'm going to just run a thread chaser down through there and just make sure it's nice and clean. If your vehicle's been neglected for a long time, this would be a great time to service the wheel bearings. So now we're to the point where the spindle nut is exposed, and we can take care of that. When I'm all done, I'll take some parts cleaner and clean up just this flange. I'm not going to spray it deep inside there because of the wheel bearing grease, and then clean up the splines on your axle as well, and just get it all ready to reassemble. You may have noticed right there, this wiggles when you grab it. Don't be alarmed. That's completely normal. The bearing that is inside the actual hub is what supports out at the end, and on a drive flange it's just the physical mechanical connection that supports this, because there's just a small bushing or bearing deep inside there which has a little bit of play. So this doesn't mean your axle's worn out. This is a very normal amount of play. Now that the surface has been completely prepped and clean, you're going to take one of your new hubs and remove the 2 screws. These are kind of just like shipping screws. They're just in there while it's, packaged up and coming to you. So you remove them, and then it splits the unit in half. You can see the gasket in there. And this is the part we're going to install first. So just set the other pieces aside. Yeah, so there's what you're looking at. There's the bearing in there. Everything's nice heavy-duty steel. And this piece is ready to go on. This is just a personal preference, but I like to take a little grease or some type of lubricant and wipe it on the splines. It could potentially be quite some time, hopefully, until you have to get back in here. But this will just kind of lubricate things, helps it slide on and off, and just peace of mind. And like I said, that's a personal thing. You don't have to do that, but I like to. This doesn't rotate or anything on there. Once it's in there, the splines hold it together. I just like, I've had better luck removing them, and I don't like using anti-seize because it gets so messy. So after that, you just take your gasket, line up the holes, and you'll get the splines started on there. Then you just take a couple of your bolts and get them started. If you have disc brakes, you can throw a screwdriver down in one of your rotor slots, and that will hold everything as you put the final torque on it. If you don't have disc brakes, you can wait until you put your wheel back on, it's on the ground, then you can get a good torque on these. They should be torqued to 30 to 35 foot-pounds. Tighten it in a star pattern, just like you would your lug nuts. As I mentioned earlier, this is a 27 spline axle that uses a snap ring. And if you'll notice, with this piece torqued in place, the snap ring groove is not fully exposed. What you'll need to do is come back here behind the axle in the knuckle area, and you can actually, there's a little bit of play there, so you'll have to have a helper do this, or just wedge something in there, or do it yourself with, you know, one hand, and push the axle towards the outside of the vehicle, towards the tire, and that will expose that snap ring groove. So you can see here, as I'm compressing everything, pushing it outward, that exposes the snap ring groove. Since I'm always working by myself out here, what I do is I get the snap ring started on the axle like that. Then I reach behind, push the axle out, and I just take a screwdriver and slide it into the groove. So it's very easy. You just have to, you might put that on there and be like, oh, where's the groove? You just have to give a little push from the back. Once your snap ring is on, we're ready to install the outer portion of the hub. You'll notice there are 6 keyways cut into the steel part of the hub, the outer hub, and then this other steel hub here has 6 corresponding little tabs sticking out. So you just kind of line those up. It's a little bit spring loaded, that's how it's supposed to be, and once it's all the way seated down, you're going to take one of the screws. So use one hand to hold the hub and then another hand to spin the screw, get it started. Once you have one done on both sides, the rest will go in smoothly. Only do this by hand. This should be finger tight. If it's not going in easily with just finger pressure, it means it's not lined up properly. And these are very fine thread, so you don't want to, you know, go crazy on it. And before you put a ratchet or any kind of torque on it, make sure all 6 of the screws start. All 6 screws are started, so now I'm just using a 1/4 inch drive ratchet. These do not take much torque at all. You're just holding everything together. So I'm snugging these up by hand, no impact gun. Definitely not on these little screws. You'll see the little gap start to close up, and you're just compressing that gasket and holding these together. You can use a socket and ratchet style driver, or in this case I found just this screwdriver type unit is more than enough torque, and this is a 3/32 bit, so it's very small. Once you have the 6 outer screws snugged up, that's it, it's done. So now if it's in the free position, you'll notice the only resistance here is the, you know, the brakes and the bearings, and then a quick turn from 2-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive, and now it's locked in. And this Jeep has a front locker, that's why it's not continuing to spin. So just like that. So you want to freewheel back to 2-wheel drive, and you're free. These hubs are nicely labeled 4x2 and 4x4. It's pretty self-explanatory. And the wide grooves here, even with gloves on, make it very simple with one hand to quickly take it in and out of 2- and 4-wheel drive. And I'm just going to put my wheel back on, torque it down, and we'll be good to go. Another quick demonstration before I lower it. So here you can see in 2-wheel drive it spins freely. Quick turn to 4-wheel drive, and it's now locked in. You can hear my locker clicking. Back to 2-wheel drive, and now we're only spinning from that hub outward. Really takes a lot of stress and rotation off all those other moving parts. And just remember, safety is super important anytime you're working on wheels, brakes, tires, anything like that. So once it's back on the ground, I always come back through and torque it to the correct specs. Make sure you go in a crisscross pattern. Every wheel and lug nut combo has a different rating. Most of your steel wheels with 60-degree nuts like this are right around 100 pounds. But consult your manual for your specific setup. Now I'm going to switch over to the other side, do the exact same thing, and I'll check back in with you as soon as I'm done. This old Jeep is ready to rock and roll. This is a very easy project that anyone can do themselves. All in all, it took me about 35 minutes to do this, so it's a great upgrade for your Jeep, and I think you'll really appreciate it. As always, the parts I used in this video will be linked in the description below. Please check out KaiserWillys.com for more information. Be sure to follow Kaiser Willys on social media for sales, events, and other updates. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.